Let's look at the graph for the practice exercise for Unit 1 and talk a little bit about what this means. First of all, there are two different graphs here, and the way that they're presented makes it a little bit confusing as far as which one occurs first and which one occurs second. If we read right to left, then it appears that this one occurs first and then this one. In reality, this graph over here shows us the SPA, the Stimulus Preference Assessment, while this one over here shows us the Reinforcer Assessment. And what's done is the SPA is completed first, and this is just determining which stimuli the client prefers. And we know there's multiple ways to determine that. And then after they've determined which stimuli the client appears to prefer, then they complete some trials in which they're looking to increase the number of correct responses. And these trials are to find out which items increase the behavior the most. And so the more correct answers, the higher the reinforcer. And we're able to see from this key right here, the square is the high preference. That's what was determined by this SPA. And it was the best reinforcer. The circle being low preference stimuli, those were determined by the SPA. And they got the lowest number of correct answers, showing the lowest reinforcement value. Okay, so I'm going to switch over right quick to this chart. This chart is straight from the Cooper, Huron, and Howard text, Applied Behavior Analysis, 2nd edition. It's on page 275. The section in the text that relates to SPAs as well as reinforcer assessments is pages 274 through 283. I think this chart does a good job of kind of an overview. These here are the stimulus preference assessments. You could have interviews, do free operant or trial-based. And then here are the reinforcement assessments that you could do to test the reinforcer ability of the stimuli. Okay, I do suggest that you read those pages for a general overview. I'm going to go back to our graph here, and there are multiple columns here, and the reason for that is that they did the SPAs over time. They did them 8 different times, and so that shows the first column for each stimuli shows how the client preferred that item the first time they did the preference assessment. Okay, and then they did it again, was the second, third, fourth, all the way to the last column. And the reason for this is it can show you for each item how those preferences changed over time. But you can also take each column, like the first column for each one, and then rate those items from lowest to highest. And it would give you the lowest, of course, would be the low preference. The one in the middle would give you the medium preference, and the one rated the highest here for the first one would give you the highest. That would be your high preference items. Okay? Of course, there's more than one client listed here as well, and by comparing these, you can get information regarding changes over time. You can get information regarding how a preference assessment can predict reinforcers, and a variety of other things. If you have any questions, please email.